How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Post a comment if you can hear me, if you can see me. I think you can. Great. Awesome way to start the podcast off, right? With rolling, checking it out. Make sure we're live. You guys know, like in the past, so many videos I've done, so many live streams will go 5, 6, 7 minutes. And then I read the comments are like, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. So I think you guys can hear me. Post in the comment section where you're at, if you can hear me, your name, say hello, and it's good to connect with you guys. We got an awesome show lined up for you. My guest today, two topics that we're bringing to the table, and obviously they branch out to so much more. We're going to be talking about comparative theology, comparative religion, comparing the differences, and most of us are trained on that, seeing the differences, but also comparing the similarities, which take a little bit more energy and effort, I believe, and but it'll revolutionize the way you think. And we'll talk about the fears of that. My guest, his journey. We'll talk about my journey, and hopefully answer questions about your journey, about comparative theology and religion, and which one is right. Because if there is one that is right, you probably should follow it, right? We're going to talk about all that. Stay tuned. Make sure you click like, share this out, all that good stuff. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody supporting my work via Patreon. If you guys want to partner, check out what I'm bringing to the table. All of my meditations, our Thursday night hangout sessions, School of the Mystics, Sunday morning sessions. We do prayer, meditation, breath work, and really just have discussions with the community. It's a really cool place, and where I hang out with my friends twice a week. So if you want to check out all of that and everything that I'm bringing to the table, go to patreon.com/truthseeker, or just go to truthseeker.com. Trust me, you get access to so much there. We've got archives of webinars that we've had with not just from people that we've interviewed and just doing these podcasts, but in a way where they're able to really teach, equip, and activate the stuff that they talk about. So sound healing, sound baths, music healing, meditation, breath work, all of that stuff from leading experts in those fields. Go check it out, patreon.com/truthseeker. Well, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Truth Seeker Podcast. My guest, Gary Beckwith. Gary, welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Hey, brother. I'm doing great. I hope you are too. I just want to say it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you for having me, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to connect with you. I mentioned two subjects. I mentioned the first one that we were going to talk about. The title talking about comparative theology and comparative religion. But maybe
Yep.
we can start with the other one, the fun one. That's not going to scare people, or maybe it will. But solar energy, solar technology, and that stuff, which is something else that is big in your life. You have the solar bus, and you've
Yeah,
co-authored a book about the subject. But definitely want to dive into that too, man.
sure.
But
Well, yeah, everything's connected, as you know. And my personal journey involves a lot of work in the renewable energy field. And that's really just because I feel connected to the earth and the environment. And I want to do something that helps protect the environment and the earth. And that's what I do. In addition to writing this book, I install solar panels on people's houses, and I have this educational project called the Solar Bus that is basically an old school bus with solar panels on it, and I drive it around, visit schools, and teach kids how solar panels work, and just try to have a lot of fun. I think it was one of the Ben and Jerry's guys that coined the phrase, like, if it's not fun, why do it? And I agree with that. So, I could like stand up and talk about solar energy in a really boring way and do lectures and stuff like that. But I like to have fun along with everything that I do. So that's what the Solar Bus is. It's a fun educational project. We power music concerts with solar energy. It has a full PA and a stage. I can roll in anywhere where there's no power, and it's all solar powered. And we show movies and public speaking events. Sometimes around election cycles, we let politicians who have a history of voting for the environment and things like that. We let people speak on the solar stage. Anyway, that's that's one of my projects, of many that I have. It's
Mm.
called the Solar Bus. You can look that up. There's a website, the Facebook page, solarbus.org. But really, what brought me here today, I think, is one of the other facets of my uh, existence in this lifetime. Although, like I said, they are connected, and that is my study of spirituality and religion and things like that. And I found your music and your website and everything, and I was really just kind of blown away with all the work that you're doing. And so I thought I'd reach out, and I appreciate you getting back to me. And I'm really looking forward to talking about all this stuff
Yes,
today.
sir. Yes, sir. I already have so many questions. I just, what I'm saying. Before we went live, and then when you start talking, I just got so many questions. We will revisit the solar sun
Yeah,
part two. You said it has something to do with it being connected. Or maybe we'll tie that in later. I don't know. I'm just
sure.
here. I'm here to pick your brain, find our commonalities, and explore together. Kind of go on a roller coaster ride, go on a journey. So, your journey for you. Like, where did you start with spirituality, religion, going to church, these kind of things? Where a lot of people start. Where was your home base that you started from concerning all of these topics concerning religion?
Very good. Well, thank you for asking. I'll share the short version of my journey, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of other people. I feel like there's kind of an awakening that's going on in the planet right now. I don't know if you agree, but
Oh yeah.
I feel like you do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, spiritual awakening. So I feel like I'm a part of it, like a lot of other people, like most people, and maybe all people. My personal journey, I was born and raised Jewish, so my story is a little slightly different than some of the other people's, but really, as you know, Jesus was a Jew, so I don't really see a whole lot of disconnect between those two. But I think I need to back up a little bit. I was raised Jewish, and I went to temple, I went to Hebrew school, I learned how to speak Hebrew. I had my bar mitzvah when I was 13. And like a lot of people, when they're kids, you go through the motions. You go to temple, you go to church, and you kind of sit there. And I can remember like looking in the prayer book and like counting how many more pages there
Mm-mm.
were until we got to the end of the service, and we could go home, and just kind of like reading the prayers and not really connecting with them. And so that was one thing that was going on. In addition to that, I was going to regular school all the time. And that's where we learned all this, scientific stuff. And I am kind of wired that way. I'm a very kind of a logical, scientific person. I need objectivity. I need proof of things.
Hmm.
Uh, so, and going to school reinforced that. So school kind of pushed me away from religion. I want to say almost like rejected the religion, even though I went through the motions and had my bar mitzvah and everything, and I understood the philosophy behind it. It seemed kind of illogical. I was sort of presented with this story that there's this God up in the sky who kind of punishes you when you're bad, and all these ancient stories that I couldn't really connect with. So I didn't really feel very connected with the religion that I was raised in at that point in my life. And I went off to college and, had my journey for a little while and sort of veered further away from religion. And I came across, and this is something I know that you connect with because I've been checking out your website, and I know that you have like a lot of meditations and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of stumbled on this book called How to Meditate. And I was like, what is that? I don't know. At that point, I was like, what is meditation? But I had an open mind enough, and I read this book called How to Meditate, and it talked mainly about Eastern religions and how in Eastern religion, they meditate all the time. We all know that, but the book was very scientific, and it didn't really get into the religion. It just kind of mentioned that in Eastern religion, Hinduism, Buddhism, meditation is a big part of the religion. But the book just focused on scientifically what is meditation, how to do it. And I thought, well, this is cool. I can accept this. This is kind of scientific. It talked about how if you meditate a lot, it's good for your health. It reduces your blood pressure. There's all kinds, I mean, that was 25, 30 years ago. Now, as part of this spiritual awakening that we've been talking about, meditation is like, your doctor will tell you to meditate, and it's widely accepted. Anyway, in this book, I kind of practiced. I learned the basic idea of focusing on your breath and all that, and trying to control your mind and deal with your endless chatterbox, and all that kind of stuff. And in the back of my mind, I thought, well, that was kind of interesting that the Eastern religions kind of focus on that a lot, but I didn't really do very much with it. But one thing I noticed in the book is it talked about people who meditate a lot, and maybe you'll be able to relate to this. They all report a similar thing, and that is that in our normal mode of existence, where we're just using our five senses, there's a sense of separateness, and there's this and that, and up and down, and you and me. And people who meditate a lot start to get a feeling of connectedness, and you feel connected to other people, you feel connected to the earth, you feel connected to God, you feel connected to everything. And so one of the words that in addition to interconnectedness that the book talked about was oneness. And so I just sort of tucked that back in my mind, and I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. People feel this oneness and interconnectedness when they meditate a lot, and like a lot of people, I tried meditating, and it was really frustrating at first, and a lot of people think, well, I can't meditate. I try to meditate, but I just can't, because my mind keeps going off in these tangents. And I try to explain to people now that I've been doing it for a while, but I want to say, I'm no expert, I'm just like everybody else out there, but at some point you learn that that's what meditation is. Your mind, you can't really stop your mind from doing that. And once you accept that that's what it is, it's like mental push-ups. Your mind goes off and then you bring it back. Your mind goes off and you bring it back. Anyway, I tried doing it, and it was really frustrating, and I kind of blew it off. So I happened to be visiting my parents at a time when it was the most important holiday for Judaism, which is called Yom Kippur. And they took me off to temple, and being a good son, I didn't resist or anything, but I was still in this mode of like, what is this all about? It's kind of a waste of time. There's no science behind it. I can't believe that, there's this old man up in the sky with a beard who like sends lightning bolts on people when they do bad things. And plus, if we add logic and reason into this, one of the reasons to kind of disbelieve in all that stuff is there's so many religions in the world. And it just doesn't make sense that, there'd be so many different religions and all of them saying, our religion is the only religion that's right. And it just seemed all too confusing and illogical to me. So anyway, I found myself sitting there in temple that one time in Yom Kippur, and leafing through the pages of the book, like I said, counting how many pages are left till we get to go home. But we came to the most important prayer of Judaism, and it's called the Shema. And I'll say it in Hebrew right now, if you don't mind. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And what does it mean? All right. It says, "Hear, O Israel," and Israel just means the people. "The Lord is our God. The Lord is one." And I was like looking at that page of the book, and I noticed that the word "one" was capitalized. It had a capital O. And I'm like, why is that capitalized? I'm looking through all these other prayers. There's no words where they like capitalize, this or that word. And I always thought that prayer, and I think a lot of Jews today think that means, oh, there's only one God.
Yeah.
But if that was it, wouldn't the prayer say, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, there's only one God"? No, it says the Lord is one. And I'm looking at that word one. And this is like, a lot of people have like a lightning bolt moment in their life, or, this was mine. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And I would I want to piggyback. It's similar to mine and with that prayer, but go ahead. That's a magical prayer, man.
You're familiar with the prayer?
Oh yeah.
You're familiar with it?
Oh yeah. Blessed be what is it? Blessed be the name of his glorious kingdom for all of eternity, or something similar.
The line that comes right after that?
Yeah, Baruch Shem Kevo Makoto Leolam Bayad. Blessed be.
You got it.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm very impressed. Now, you weren't raised Jewish, were you?
No.
I'm very impressed. All right. So I'm looking at the prayer. I'm looking at the word one. It's got the capital O. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And all of a sudden, literally, like all the other words on the page started like melding around and moving around. And all I could see was the word one. And part of the lightning bolt thing is I remembered how in that book about meditation in the Eastern religions, it said that people feel this oneness when they meditate a lot. And I was like, could that be the same thing that they're talking about?
Now, was you meditating at all while reading the book, or was it just...
Well, like I said, I tried it a few times at that point, and it was just really frustrating, and I didn't really pursue it that much. It was all just on a, what do you want to call it? Theoretical, inquisitive level at this point. Yeah. But it was enough that I remembered in the book, it talked about oneness, and here I am in temple reading the word one, and it popped in my mind, could it be the same thing? And I stared at the word one for a little while. Then I started leafing through the pages, and instead of counting how many there were, I started reading some of the prayers. And I was like, you know what? These prayers don't say that God is this dude up in the sky with the beard. I don't know where that story came from. They talk about
with lightning bolts getting onto you. That sounds like Thor. That don't sound like,
Right. Well, unfortunately, that's still kind of a widely accepted idea today.
Yeah, for sure.
Something that we I think we have to shed as a humanity slowly or quickly would be better. But I started reading some of the other prayers, and I realized there was nothing really in there that said that. And in fact, they all just, talked about how to be a good person and how it's our duty to, try to bring peace in the world and things like that. And it just, from that moment on, everything changed. I got really interested in just this idea of, could that oneness and this oneness be the same thing? So one of the next things I did is I enrolled in a course of comparative religion in my local community college. And I started studying all the different religions. Well, I say different, just kind of as a habit, studying all the religions. And like most comparative religion classes, I would say, we follow this book, and there's chapter 1, what Judaism, chapter 2, Christianity, chapter 3, Buddhism, whatever. And they all kind of like talk about a little story of how it got started and what are some of the teachings. And quite often, they talk about differences between them. And there was nothing really in there that like pointed out, similarities between the religions. Yeah. And it was really kind of frustrating to me. And I was like always in the front row of the class, and I'd raise my hand and I'd say, well, what about this? Doesn't that other religion say that exact same thing? And how come nobody's pointing that out? And the teacher would be like, yeah, you're right. So anyway, at the end of the class, we were supposed to write an essay, and the assignment was to write an essay about anything about any religion that you want. And it was supposed to be like 3 pages long. And I started, as you might guess, my topic was the similarities between the religions. And the end of the class came, and I was like 10 pages into it, and I could not stop. So I called up the teacher, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, my paper is longer than it should be already, but I'm not ready to turn it in yet. can I have a little more time? And the teacher said, yeah, it's fine. Just whatever. Take another week or two, turn it in when you want. And he was really cool about it. So I eventually turned it in. I want to say it was like 20 or 30 pages. And he gave me an A+. But I could not stop writing. I kept on researching. And basically, my focus became, instead of starting with the religions and kind of, looking for what are the similarities, I came to realize that there are 6 or 8 or 10 ideas that are common to all the religions. And I went through all of the holy books, and I started collating quotations from the holy books. And I tried to go to the most ancient and most, because, some of the books have been changed over the years. So I tried to go to the most original versions of the holy books. And I tried to focus on like the direct quotations from for every religion has a person who kind of brought some revelations and things like that.
I mean, how far back did you go? Because now we're getting into like Sumerian stuff now. Like, was you dabbling in any of that, or Egypt or India, Greek? Like, what was the oldest one you think you went to?
Well, for each religion, I use a different book. Now, for the Western religion, we'll start there. There's a lot of books. There's scrolls, and that was a question I had to ask myself, like, where am I going to go for which scriptures am I going to use? And that's what led me to I had to learn about the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi Library, and how the Bible was codified 300 years after Jesus lived. And there are other books that were not included when they codified the Bible and things like that. So as far as Western religion goes, I did, well, at that time, the Dead Sea Scrolls weren't really completely released. And, they're still not really completely released. But we know that they have like the oldest versions of basically every book in the Old Testament. There's older versions in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but there's not a lot of, I want to say, conflict in the books that are in the current Bible and also in the Dead Sea Scrolls. But the Dead Sea Scrolls have some other books that were not included. I'd like to get more into that story of how that evolved in a bit. But let me just continue with my story of how I got to writing this book, and then we can go back to that if that's cool. I turned in the paper, kept writing, and then I got to this point where, like, there's got to be a book. Like, why am I wasting all this time doing all this research? There's got to be a book out there that just outlines what are the basic ideas that all the religions share. And, I had walls full of books, and like there'd be one book about the similarities between, Jesus and Buddha, and it'd be like this thick. And I have a lot of like really long words that people like me at the time weren't using in my regular vocabulary, written by scholars and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a scholar. I'm a regular old guy, just like everybody else. And I went to bookstores and libraries, try to find a book that just said, these are the commonalities of the world's religions. And I couldn't find it. So I realized I was writing it. And I kept writing. And at one point I said, well, I think I'm at the point where, I could keep going, but I got to stop somewhere. And I did. And I came up with this book here. That basically I tried to make it short enough so people are not, in today's world, there's so many things going on. Not a lot of people read big fat books. And I wanted to be very simple and to the point, and not with big long words that people don't use in their regular vocabulary. And so that's how the book came into being. And like I said, instead of starting out with each religion and learning about them separately, I take the 8 or 10 ideas that all the religions talk about in a similar way. And then I give examples, quotations of the Holy Scriptures from all the religions. And instead of the book being about like, this is Gary Beckwith's, thesis about how the religions are the same. It's really up to the reader to make their own conclusions. There's an idea that we have a soul. Okay. So that's one of the things that all the religions, in my belief, tell us, that we have an eternal soul. There's an aspect of our being, a non-physical aspect of our being that is beyond time and space and survives death and so forth. So I went through all the scriptures of the different religions, and I found quotations where they all kind of make a reference to that. And I put them all right next to each other. And it's up to you to decide how that makes you feel. Does it resonate with you? And so I try not to make it, preachy and all about like my ideas. I try to just make it really easy for people to make their own conclusions based on these 6 or 8 or 10 ideas that I believe all the religions tell us. Now, what does that do? There's 2 things I think it does on 2 different levels. First, globally, all the religions are currently, they're kind of at odds with each other. We have things like 9/11. There's wars being fought. How many deaths are fought over religion? I believe that if we evolve as a planet to a place where we focus more on the common bonds between the religions, that the world would be a more peaceful place. And I just want to say, I'm not saying that like, all the religions are exactly the same and there just should be one world religion. It's more of a harmony between all the religions. And there's enough commonalities for us to live together and not want to kill each other. So that's on a global level. Now, on a personal level, I think there's also value in realizing that all the religions have something to contribute to our spiritual path and our journey. Because, we're taught like, this is like back when I was in Hebrew school, like this is the only way. And it's almost like a sin or something you'd be fearful to like learn something from another religion. Mm-hmm. But I believe if there is a God, if there is truth and spirituality that applies to everybody, and there's enough truth in all the religions that, you can find some pretty important teachings in some of the other religions too. So that's my path. That's my story. That's how I got to where I am with this book. That's why I wrote it. And I hope that it helps people who read it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So people are asking in the chat the name of the book. I pasted it in there. You did hold it up. So what's the name of it, even for those who are listening on the podcasting apps?
All right. So I'm not a good salesman. I'm not a good plugster.
That's why you're here.
I do.
That's why you're here. We're going to talk about it, and if they resonate, they got to buy it. It's just how that works.
I like to talk about ideas and all that kind of stuff. But I got to remember, the way to get your ideas out is, I did write this book. So the book is called The Message That Comes From Everywhere. So like the story that I just told, if you kind of sum it up, there's a message for everybody, whether it's, getting it from the religions or this book. What is the message? And it's kind of part of what I was just saying, how we have a soul and that we're on a journey. And that's part of it, but it's kind of a bigger story, a bigger message than just that we have a soul, but that we're all interconnected and things like that. So the book is called The Message That Comes From Everywhere. And it's really not just the religions and spirituality. Like you can get that message from like your music, when you listen to music, you hear a line like the classic example I always think of, and I don't want to be too cliche, but the song Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin, there's this line at the end. It says, when all is one and one is all. That one that's what we're talking about, and to be a rock and not to roll, right before the last line of the song. So you can get the message from just about anywhere. A lot of times it like pops into your life when you're not expecting it. It could come through like one of those tea bag things at the end of the tea bag, little message, that's on the end of the tea bag, or anything. But so people might want to know where to get the book.
Yeah, they're asking, is it on Amazon or your website?
It is on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon, but what I would suggest, if you go to the publisher of my book, which is called the Harmony Institute, there's a special right now, and for the normal price is $15, and if you buy it on Amazon, there's third-party sellers. I don't know what you find it for, but then you got to pay shipping. But if you go to theharmonyinstitute.org, there's a link right there, and there's a special for people who are listening to the podcast or watching it. It's $11.11, 1111. We've been talking about the number one a lot, so I thought that would be a good price, and it's free shipping, and I will sign all the copies that go out through that link. Wow. So it's theharmonyinstitute.org.
Awesome. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes below too, guys. Make sure you go check it out. Really, where we're headed is this. Like, you have to, this is a line that you have to cross. Like, you have to, because this is love. This is acceptance. This is staying teachable. This is being a student. And at some point on your spiritual journey, you have to move into, these are my brothers and sisters versus these are my enemies. If you stay in that enemy mindset that I'm right, they're wrong, this is the only way, you're going to continue to see what we've been seeing since the beginning. I mean, this is the reason why there's so much bad interpretation of scriptures, because people are it's got to be different. Like, this can't say the same thing that Egypt said. Ours is different. It's like, no. I am of the way. I am the way. I am, my words are life. I am the Alpha, the Omega. I am the first and the last. Besides me, there is no other. Connect with me in many different ways. A oneness of God, a creator, the one. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is one. But then there's many aspects of the one. That's every religion. That's Christianity. That's Catholicism. That's there's so many beautiful things, and you move into a place where they complement one another. At first, they fight each other. All of these, because it's cognitive dissonance, and this has to be right. And there's weird things that you'll tell yourself to make it be right. It's cognitive dissonance. When the truth and reality and this information hits you, you won't receive it because you've got all your eggs in one basket. Like, you haven't just put your life in this book or in this religion. You've put your eternity, like when you die, where you're going. And so if you're wrong, for many people, like, that's a big deal. So you gotta get it right. You gotta get it right. But those little nuances, like you said, that if you are a student of love and you are open, you'll find it calling you through the very text that you're reading. And this is happening worldwide through all of these different religions and philosophies. All of those people are waking up and choosing love, and they're in every institution. Well, one of the big ones for me was definitely the Shema, even the one of the names of God, Ahaya. I am that I am. Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya, which is I am that I am, the name that he told Moses he was. But he said, what it means, it's like, I'll be whatever you need me to be. Because that's what the word means. I am what I am, and you can't change that. But I'll be whatever you need me to be. And I'm going to show up, and I'm going to reveal myself to you as this. And then you'll keep reading in the Hebrew scriptures, as Moses knew me by this name. Abraham knew me by that name, but you're going to know me as this. And then we read Jesus was like, I used to call you servants, but I no longer call you servants because now you're my friends. A servant doesn't know what the master's doing. So now I'm going to reveal myself to you as a friend and not an enemy. You were an enemy. You were alienated in your mind and thought that I was against you and everything was against you, but that wasn't the truth. You just didn't know it. And the beauty of that journey, my God, that's what we're going through right now, worldwide. It's amazing. So I appreciate you articulating and embodying this work. When it comes to being ahead of the game and when this took place for you, what year was all this happening for you? Because this is new for a lot of people, but this isn't new for you, right?
Well, that's a good question. The book was actually published right before 9/11. I can remember getting a crate of books. I want to say it was like 2 days before 9/11. That was 2001. And I had them, out in my bedroom, and I was counting them or whatever. And the TV came on, and it was so ironic having both of these things happen at the same time. And yeah, back then, I kind of had a big push to promote my book, and that was a while ago. But and I sold a bunch of copies, and I was on a bunch of radio programs. Back then they didn't have podcasts, so it was a while ago. And I just got involved with other things after a little while, like my bus that I mentioned before, and that's kind of one of the messages is like, we have to go out and do things in the world. We have to try to make the world a better place. Part of our spiritual journey is to learn how to meditate and, do our inner work. But we also have to go out into the world and try to make the world a better place, help other people. And like the Buddha said, alleviate suffering. So that was a choice I made to get involved in solar energy, because I thought that, the earth, which I feel connected to, was really being, I don't know what the word is, abused, taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're seeing that now. Anyway, to answer your question, it was first published in 2001. And I've since updated it a little bit. There's a newer PDF version out there. It's pretty much the same as you're going to get when you get, I suggest getting the hard copy. And there's a deal on there also. If you get 5 copies, it's even a bigger discount, because people like to give them away. I find I've had, Sunday school teachers buy like a whole box of them, and they use them for classes and things like that.
Yeah. Listen, that's when I was reading your bio, that was one thing that kind of stood out to me, because I'm from the South. I'm from Alabama, and I read on there that people in Sunday school classes will use your book. Are they teaching comparative theology in Sunday school at some churches? Because that sounds so foreign to me, because it's emphasized that we are the only ones right. I mean, not just Baptist Christianity or Southern Christianity, but even within the denomination. Like, those Christians over there are wrong and we're right. So they were teaching this in Sunday school somewhere?
Somewhere. I can't remember where it was. But yeah, and I was surprised too that it happened. And it was probably one of the more liberal sects of Christianity. Yeah. I can't remember. But yeah, it's been used in a variety of different ways. I want to say a couple of things, comment back on a few things that you mentioned. First of all, the I am thing, that's a huge, I am that I am. That is actually a huge connection between the religions too, because not only did God say that to Moses when Moses said, hey, dude in the burning bush, what's your name? Because everybody's going to ask me what your name is when I come down off this mountain. And God said, I am that I am. Tell them that I am sent you. And it turns out in Hinduism, there's this mantra. A mantra is when you meditate. You can meditate on, anything, a picture in your mind or a sound. And one of the really widely used meditations is to recite this sound in your mind. And the sound, I believe it's called Soham, and it means I am that I am. So it's amazing to me when you see that these religions who evolved on totally different sides of the planet at different times and places have these like exact same things. There's this parable I like to tell about the blind man and the elephant. You familiar with that one?
Not right off, maybe, but not
All
right
right, well,
off.
let's go through it really quick. These 5 blind men
Oh
come up
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. It's good. Go ahead.
all right, yeah, 'cause it applies to our story. These 5 blind men come up to an elephant, and each one of them is kind of like, touching this different part of an elephant, and they're describing what it is. And so one of them is like touching the leg, and he says, "Oh, it's a giant pillar." And it's connected to a building, or it's a giant pillar. And then another one is like touching the tail. You know how an elephant's tail has a little whistly thing at the end? He said, "No, it's not a pillar, it's a broom." And then another one is touching the trunk, and he said, "No, you guys are crazy. It's a hose." And I can go on, but each one is using his hands to feel and touch different part of the elephant and decide what they're. One that like touches his belly, says, "Oh, it's a giant drum," and they start arguing and fighting over what is this thing that they encountered. And then somebody walks by who had a man of vision, a person who can see, and he explains to them, "You're all right. It's not any one of those things. This thing that you're inspecting is greater than all of those pieces that you're looking at, one at a time. It is a pillar and a broom and a drum, and you're all right. You don't need to be arguing and fighting over. You're just looking at a different aspect. You're focusing on a different aspect of the elephant." Now, obviously, it's a parable. So and the reason I like to focus on it is because it's the exact same thing with religions. And we're still doing that in this world today. We're arguing out, my religion is the only religion, but there's people like you, hopefully like me, who, we can just take a step back, and your listeners, and just look at it. Again, I started out my discussion. We don't have to get rid of our logical scientific mind. It actually helps us, because we can just see, hey, look, they both say "I am that I am." It is a name.
But one of
God.
them's a liar. I mean, that's what they'll say. I'm just telling, like, I'm in Christianity, like that's what somebody was lying. And they say that about, I mean, they apply that logic to Christ. They say either he was telling the truth or he's a madman lying when he says, "I am the only way. There is no other way to get to God but by me." And trying to explain that to them, or even forget them, explain it to myself first. What does that mean? Because I am a follower of this way. If he is the way, what did he mean? It's the way of Christ. It's the way of the anointing. It's the way of love that Jesus opened himself up to carry love, to carry a universal love that had power. And many other people did it and do it. I mean, if you're a Christian now and Christ is in you, like, you've done the same thing that he did. You've died to a certain animalistic, combative, warring nature, which we all have. We have both natures. That's just what we have, the abilities within us to do good and bad. But we get to choose love, just like Christ did. And that's the way to choose love, make room for love, and by overcoming evil with good. Not just abstaining from evil, but abstaining from evil is to do good and to have it. And once you do that, you begin to wake up. Like, things begin to happen. It just does. It doesn't. I mean, I'm a Bible student, but I love all of the text, right? And now venturing out into Greek and Hebrew a lot more. It's opening up so many other. I'm hearing familiar names or unfamiliar names as I read when Jesus or Paul says, "Hey, love, faith, and charity are 3 keys, but the greatest of those is love," And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And we read that's a Christian thing. But when you read the Greek, those are names of three goddesses that are all connected. And the mother of them is agape, like is unconditional love. If you look up the original words that were used in the original Greek New Testament, like they have stories, and those stories are connected, and people will say, well, they had a god. Greeks had gods for everything, and they just had but listen, okay, I get that, but in the New Testament, anytime they're used, it is in complete context. It's not a random word that just meant a god. Like, it is in context of not just Greek, not just Christian, or not just Hebrew, or not just Egyptian, not just Indian, not just Sumerian, but all of them, all of them. And that used to scare me when I was just holding on to my aspect of Christianity, that it had to be right. And I learned to debate, and I learned to politic, and to offend, and to convert people, but not to meet and break bread, and to find the similarities. But once I shifted in that experience, man, everything changed for me. And it's changing. It changed for you, and it changed for so many people listening. And it's going to change for people listening who are finding themselves having a hard time. The more you hang out with love and you become love, this is the process. Like, this is it. It's going to happen.
That's one of the little aspects that I found that is throughout all the religions, is God is referred to as love. God is love. And you'll see a little section in the book where there's all these quotations from all the scriptures of all the religions where they basically say that God is love. And, I want to go back to another thing you said about how all the conventional religions are, I was watching one of your other podcasts, and you mentioned how, like, I think you said you can consider yourself a Christian mystic. And, some of the things that you believe in and talk about, like, you're not going to hear in the church down the street. And every religion has like a mystical sect. And that's true in, Judaism and pretty much all the other religions too. Like the stuff that we're talking about today, you're not going to hear about if you go to temple either. But, I've shown my book to rabbis and they tend to like it. But there's a reason why what I would say the religions have veered so much from the mystical aspects and the teachings. I think it's worth telling, briefly the story of Christianity, and you can jump in and tell me if you agree with my assessment. But the Bible, and that's what that's what they're talking about in the church down the street. You memorize your passages and you take it literally word for word. That was put together 300 years after Jesus lived. And it was at these councils called the Council of Constantinople and the Council of Nicaea. And at the time, there were a lot of other books that were written about Jesus and his life and what he said and what he did. And in my view, unfortunately, these councils were run by the Romans. Constantine kind of decided to do this. And what they were trying to do is incorporate Christianity into the Holy Roman Empire, mm-hmm. because they saw it as a threat to they're basically trying to take over the world. And instead of, if you can't beat them, join them. It was kind of the thing. So we got to do something about this Christianity. Instead of like trying to fight them all, let's try to absorb it as part of our efforts. So at these councils of Constantinople and Nicaea, they took all these books, and there were basically three different views of like who Jesus was and what his life represents. And one of them was that he's the only Son of God, and every word that he ever said was divinely inspired. And basically, if you just believe that, then you're going to go to heaven. The other main one was held by this group called the Gnostics, Gnostics. And what is Gnosticism? A lot of people are familiar with agnosticism, mm-hmm. today. And a lot of people call themselves agnostics. And that's kind of what I was when I was in high school and I was rejecting religion. and I was being more scientific. Agnosticism means you can't really ever understand or know anything spiritual because it's all like beyond. And, when you die, you're going to find out. So it's not really worth it to investigate spirituality and stuff like that. Gnosticism is the opposite, which basically says that's like one of the reasons we came here is to pursue spiritual knowledge. And that if you pursue spiritual knowledge, you will attain, you can actually do that in your life. So the Gnostics thought that Jesus was a great teacher and an example for us all to live by. And he realized the Christ within himself, and that he's an example. And people like you and me, if we want to find the Christ within ourselves, that we can do that we can learn how to be more like him and attain spiritual knowledge. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, at these councils, they decided that the other view was maybe not correct, but that was the one that they wanted to accept, which was that, we shouldn't try to be like Jesus. We shouldn't recognize that Jesus is, a great teacher, other than that he is the only Son of God, and we just have to believe that. And so there were all of these books that the Gnostics had, and they burned them all. They killed all the Gnostics. And here we are today, 2,000 years later, and you go down to the church down the street, and that's still what they're teaching. In the 1940s, somebody discovered this whole library that was buried in the ground. When the Romans were coming to kill them all and burn all the books, they buried a bunch of books in the ground. And so now we have the Nag Hammadi Library, which basically has all of these teachings of the other kind of mystical view of Christianity, which I want to say is probably a lot more in alignment with the stuff that we've been talking about, which is that we are all children of God. We're all connected with God. We all have a direct connection. And if we pursue it through things like, meditation, and there's a whole bunch of, different ways we can pursue spirituality and spiritual knowledge, that we can attain spiritual knowledge. Mm-hmm. And it's, maybe not our duty, it's our choice to do that in our lives. So the truth is coming out, I believe. There's still, it's going to be a while until the church down the street is talking about this kind of stuff. And, I've been on radio shows talking about my book, and I've had people call me up and call into the show and say, I'm the devil and things like that for talking about this stuff. But you might have had some.
Yeah, I'm getting so much of that now. And I've been talking about this for years, and it's kind of, it just kind of resonated with certain people, right? And you have a core audience and stuff. But now, like I'm getting, it's going viral. The work I did a couple of years ago, that nothing's changed, but what's changed is the awakening. Like, people are asking questions. People are, there's an awakening. Like, there's energies that's hitting the planet. There's information that now becomes the base, the plumb line of what you can and can't do, and what is and isn't acceptable. We couldn't even have this conversation. And there's people who are still in that, to be like, they listen, but they feel like they're doing something bad. Like, because you can't even entertain another view, because it could get tainted and you can believe it. Like, isn't that the best way to keep a person confined, to say you can't even hear it? If you even entertain it, a demon is going to get you. So these are people who rule with fear. And if you're in Christianity or any other religion, and there's any love in it, love is open. Love is expression. Love keeps no records of wrong. Like, the Bible goes into detail. All of these scriptures go into detail. And people are having encounters with love. It's unconditional love, because they've been unconditionally loved by a person of another faith, a person of Christianity, by the Creator. The unconditional love from your father and your mother, and your brothers and sisters. And that's what they have. And when we tap into that, we become that. And so people are doing that. So it's raising the standard. Like, hey, our standard isn't mocking. Our standard isn't fighting. Our standard isn't killing. That's so old. We're not doing that. We're not doing that anymore. We know that was wrong. That's what a conscious awakening is, a spiritual awakening. There was a time in humanity, man, just look at how archaic we were and how we let certain things fly that is not gonna fly anymore. You can't be racist. You'll be canceled if you're racist. For not just racist, but you can't own a black person and have them living in a shed chained up and let them come clean your house and pick your garden. You can't have slaves anymore. No. Why not? No, you can't. We're not doing that. We didn't know. But whoever our ancestors and people were, that was normal. But no, that's not normal anymore. You learn by awakening and realization of it's contemplation. What did we do? Like my daughter, she could never fathom that, right? This new generation. I can't fathom that. But what about y'all did what? You guys killed people because they healed with herbs? You guys killed people because they could read signs in the stars or in water? You guys killed them? Like those ancient scriptures, yeah, the Bible told me to. I still get messages from people that says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. That's their comment. And I'm like, hold on, that can't be. If this is a loving God, how are we going to wrap our mind around it? Should we kill witches? And I went back and read that stuff, and I break down just the Greek and Hebrew of any time that stuff's mentioned. It's like, man, that's three Hebrew words. And we got thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. That's like 8 words. How did we get all of that from this thing that says, do not live with demons? Is what it's talking about. Dead spirits that are evil and wicked. It wasn't even talking about people. But we don't even know that. But now, since we know it, we can share it. Stop quoting this stuff out of context. Stop.
Out of context.
But we don't know the context. We just know that one verse. You have to remember
that a lot of those words were written, like you said, in a certain context a long time ago. There were certain things going on the planet. But there are some things I think that are just timeless in the Bible.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
For example, the 10 Commandments. And they say pretty clearly, thou shalt not kill. So I would
going against his own word. Yeah. It's like, kill these people, but not those people. Well, what if those weren't people?
Yeah.
What if? And people believe that to a degree, but they considered people not people. No. We're talking about like entities that, anyway, we can get into a lot of interesting stuff, but once you understand that, you see the parallel in all religions. And I'm talking about some of that stuff now. And people will say, yeah, those gods that are in the Greek philosophy in Egypt, they're all fallen angels. Those are demons. Those aren't really gods, and those are all demonic entities. They're Nephilim, and they'll go back because they gotta make it fit into a context where they have to be right, and those guys are wrong. But if you don't know the context of those stories, no. The same, they're parallel, 100%. One God, which is the all, out of that births a God, a watcher, an overseer of a planet, which birthed overseers of different regions. And then under them, there was more created beings that would till the garden. We need beings to clean. So now there's there's all of these things created. That story is in every holy book. And we've got pieces of it. But the more you unfold it, the more you wrestle, the more you contemplate, the more you think about it, that's when it begins to unravel. Thinking that you got it all figured out as an expert of watching one YouTube video or hearing one sermon. No, if there's any truth to the Bible, if there's any truth to the Bhagavad Gita, if there's any truth to Egyptian mythology, it has to be universal, or it's not truth. It's just for these people.
It has to apply to everybody.
It's just for the Jews, God's chosen people. Well, the scripture says that if you choose love, Like you're in that. Like you're one of us. The strangers who come in and choose love, the outsiders who come in and choose love, listen, treat them as a brother. What? Why y'all ain't teaching on that? The outsiders who don't know your religion, who will come and work and love and obey and bless and do the same. It says treat them just like you. Don't treat them any different. Man, that's in the Torah, man. You know, it's in every holy book.
And Jesus said it too, to welcome your neighbors and all that stuff. I'd like to read this one paragraph from my book because it made me think of you.
Oh, snap.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Ultimately, we all come to a point where we want to know, not just believe in something, but really know with a capital K. We say we know that the planets exist, but we know with a capital K that we have 5 fingers on each hand because we experience it directly. There's a big difference. When we turn this type of knowing towards the spiritual realm, we become seekers of truth. For many seekers of truth, the ultimate and final question is, who am I? The seeker has come to know that there is something more than the body, but knows little of their true identity. The quest of the seeker is to find out what he or she really is. We may already know the answer in words. We can say, I know that I'm one with God and the universe. I know there is part of me that is in everything, but that is not the same thing as getting to know with a capital K, that part of you. To me, that's what a truth seeker is. You're trying to, it's beyond watching a YouTube video. It's beyond reading a book. It's a personal thing. You're trying to know with a capital K, not just who you are, but you know, what's going on. And to bring it full circle, because meditation is what got me into this, on this whole path. I think that is a big part of it, because we all come to this world with the way our brains are wired. And I think it kind of gets worse with all of the things we're flooded with all day long. You turn on the TV, you got the radio on, and our mind, they call it an endless chatterbox. And, you know, we could go on and on, you know, talking for days and weeks and years about philosophy and religions and everything like that were created hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago. But meditation is something that kind of, you don't really need to talk about all these ancient stories and, you know, what Buddha did when he was alive and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a direct thing that's going to help you along your path. So I got really interested in meditation as part of this. And then I also found this thing called hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Became really interesting to me. And I found, just like I did with the religions, that there, a lot of times there's these two terms that like people think are like really different things. But if you just kind of step back and you look at it in a more open way, that they're really not necessarily the exact same thing, but they're kind of like, you know, they're very interconnected. So to me, hypnosis, self-hypnosis, meditation, guided meditation, this is a really important tool for us as spiritual seekers, truth seekers, to help us along on our path, because we have to bypass the endless chatterbox in our mind that is constantly replaying whatever it is, you know, what we're going to have for breakfast tomorrow, regrets that we made a mistake, what's going on in the politics of the world. And meditation, it's something in all the religions talk about or use. The mystical sects of each religion has used meditation. So when I got into meditation, I started learning about how brainwaves, because like I said at the beginning, I'm a very scientific, objective person. And that's part of the reason I got into any of this. And so when you meditate, all the time, your brain is giving off brainwaves, and you can hook yourself up to a machine and read the brainwaves. And that was one of the reasons I got into this whole thing, is because I realized, wow, that's pretty cool. This is very scientific. It's not like some hokey thing some guy made up. You know, if you actually have different brainwaves when you're meditating, there must be something going on there.
Yep.
So a while ago, I bought this thing. It actually measures your brain waves. It's called the EEG. It's like the longest word in the world, what the EEG stands for, but it actually measures your brain waves. And, you hook it up to your phone and you can actually see your brain waves. And you can use it to, as like a biofeedback device to help your meditation, deepen your meditation, realize like, oh, this thing I'm doing is helping me deepen my meditation level. And this other thing that I'm doing, isn't as helpful. So it helps you meditate. You can also just record your brain waves like while you're meditating and look at it afterwards. And, I'm not selling it or anything. I just wanted to give that as an example of, we don't necessarily have to focus all of our attention on, these ancient stories and mythology and stuff like that. That's kind of what, to me, the spiritual awakening, right? That is an important step. We have to accept our past and realize that there isn't all these conflicts between them. But for me, and everybody's path is different. I'm not saying that everybody has to do everything exactly the way I do it or you do it, but just focusing on, to me, meditation is a huge, important part of my spiritual path. And it's not religious. It's not really spiritual. It's a scientific thing. And, I want to suggest to your listeners, you have some really cool guided visualizations on YouTube and stuff. And you can sign up for them on your website. And I did one last night. I found it to be really powerful. So I plan to do some more because I actually, when I got into all this hypnosis and meditation stuff, I got certified as a hypnotherapist. I thought that would be a good way to learn about it. So at some point I plan to do some guided visualizations and stuff, put them on YouTube, but I haven't really done that yet. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with your listeners.
That, hypnosis, I think, was a big part of mine too, of just being able to look at things objectively. When I became a Christian, there was a program that me and my wife went through when we were trying to get married. They want us to go through like this counseling, just to make sure that we knew what we were getting into with marriage but also it's inner healing. It's a Christian inner healing. They called this one Christian prophetic prayer counseling, and it's going through this, just the whole psyche checklist. Have you ever felt this? Boom. Have you ever thought that this? And it was just going into a lot of things in the subconscious mind that you don't share with anybody. And then when they ask that question and you, in confidence with this person, you can say, yeah, I've felt that before. I mean, it was just weird stuff like, has the devil ever told you that you have cancer? Or, I mean, just getting you to open up and be vulnerable and like, okay, and you're going through it and they you give it to them and they pray over it and all this kind of stuff. But then when you have the session, it's close your eyes and we're going to go deal with everything that you told me you've struggled with. You think that you got cancer and you've never been, whatever, just weird stuff that goes on in people's heads. So I eventually went through it, me and my fiance, was now my wife at the time, and it was very powerful. I received so much healing when I became a Christian, because there was a polarity there of like dark stuff I was dealing with so instantly, but it allowed me to really get clear on a lot of subconscious programming that I still had, hurt, trauma, wounds, all that kind of stuff. And they kind of lead you in it. They wouldn't call it meditation. It's like, close your eyes, let's pray. Okay, remember when you were 7 and so this happened to you? Because I wrote it down. I told them, yeah, I want you to look, and Jesus is there somewhere. Where is he at? He's in the room. He's there. What is he? When you lost your dad at 6, where's Jesus standing? And the idea, your subconscious mind is going to see love that you embody as Jesus. Love is in there, and he's making it right. What is he doing? What is he saying? So you go back and kind of like rewire the experience. So now, wait, I wasn't alone. Jesus was there with me, and he was And whatever you say, that I mean, as long as it's something good, they'll kind of okay, great, yeah, and allow him to heal you now, allow him to remove any cords of attachment that is from that experience, because he's there, he loves you, and you're ministering love to that. And I thought that was so beautiful, and I had so much healing from it, And this was, man, over 20 years ago. But
That's
now,
totally hypnotherapy.
exactly.
Right
Now I'm in it now of like, what's his name? Joe Dispenza, and how amazing and popular he is. And he's doing the same thing, and it's healing people from trauma and ailments and from so much. But the Christians will say, it's not the same thing. It's different. This is different. We don't do it that way. We're not. No. Like, it is the same. You just call it something different. Well, we're not putting people under hypnosis. Yes, you are. Like, anytime you go to sleep, you're being put under hypnosis. What are you talking about? But the fruit of it is what you got to look at. What happens when is the person healed? Are they more confident? Do they love more? Are they confident to go out and get the job that they didn't feel worthy of because their parents told them they were stupid their whole life? Listen, I don't care if it's Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, a Christian church, your pastor, your imam, whoever. The fruit of that, after that conversation, after that prayer, after that hypnosis, whatever, like, how do you feel? And if it's good, if it helped you, if it healed you, then it's good. And we're like fight tooth and nail to hang on that. Nope, it has to. You got to let Jesus do it, and not that. The reality of the scriptures is that is Jesus. If it's good, if it's love, like he is that, he becomes that. I am that I am. You need me to be your healer? You need me to show up? You need me to help you with the bills? You need me to give you confidence to go out? I got you. Just allow me to do it. And Jesus testifies, he says that every good and perfect gift comes from the Father of lights. So if it's plant medicine, if it's keeping the Shabbat, how are you? How are you? Are you healed? Are you whole? Are you good? Are you good? Because not some. The devil ain't showing up to heal nobody, man. Yes, he will. Get out of here, pie in the face. No. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I've come that you may have life more abundantly. Knowing these principles as a Christian will allow you to be more acceptive, to listen to. I mean, there's people here in the comments, and God bless you, they're saying like they're afraid to meditate. Like they're scared. Like Christians will tell them that demons will get them if they empty their thoughts.
That's sad.
It is.
I mean, I can tell you, meditation, it's really, people exercise, people go running, people play music. It's just like anything else, but it is a little special because it's exercises for your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not really clearing your mind you're not really emptying your mind. You always have to focus on something, right? So what I tell people, you can focus on, like, imagine an apple in your mind, and when your mind starts to wander off and think about something else, you come back to the apple. And it doesn't have to be your breath. It doesn't have to be anything spiritual. It's really, like I said, it's like doing push-ups for your mind. And, if it's safe to do push-ups for your arms, and, the devil isn't going to get you for doing that, it should be safe to do push-ups for your brain too. It's just mental exercises, and it allows you to focus more in your life. So later on, like, we all have trouble focusing because there's so many things going on, and being able to just focus, if you have to do a certain piece of work or something like that, it's a good, useful tool. So meditation, if when you do those, we'll call them, mental push-ups, it spills over into the rest of your life, and it helps you focus. And so, I'm never going to be able to say, don't listen to those people who are saying that, it's a sin or something like that. I can't tell you not to listen to that, but I can only tell you that from my experience and my research, a lot of people meditate, and it doesn't cause any problems for them in their life, and it doesn't bring evil upon their life. And in fact, it brings a calmness, and we'll bring it back to the beginning, a feeling of interconnectedness to the rest of the universe if you do it.
That's good. Well, mentioning that, and for Christians, we do have a lot of Christians. There's Christian trauma, man. I mean, every religion, can mess you up. A messed up, an abusive relationship will mess you up. And so if you had an abusive relationship with a religion or with a pastor or with a clergy, man, sometimes it takes years to get free, for sure. And some people never do,
Oh, yeah.
But talking about this helps. For sure. Being open and honest about what works and open and honest about what didn't work. Let's talk about that too. But in your studies, because you've dedicated a large portion of your life to this and comparative religion, and we're talking about meditation and how important it is and how much it means to you, how much it means to me. In your study, did Jesus meditate? Did Jesus meditate?
Well, I wasn't there, so I can't say definitively.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the story I was talking about, the Gnostics, the Gnostics, the group of people who had this different philosophy of who Jesus was. And, there's a thought that Jesus actually studied with the Gnostics. There was a period of time where in Jesus's life where people don't know exactly where he was or what he did. And there's some ideas that he might have gone to India or something like that. But one of the reasons that the Romans and the Constantine decided to burn all of the books is because there's evidence in there that, now we have to go back to the Dead Sea Scrolls, because those were around when Jesus actually lived. The Gnostics lived around the time when the Bible was being codified. So in a similar way, the Dead Sea Scrolls, which are also buried in a similar story where the Romans came and killed everybody and burned all the books, around the time of Jesus, the group was called the Essenes. And so the Essenes were the mystic sect of Jews around the time of Jesus. And when they codified the Bible, they wiped out every reference to the Essenes, all the books that the Essenes held. And then the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. And lo and behold, we found in the Dead Sea Scrolls a lot of teachings that were similar to what Jesus said, like the Sermon on the Mount and things like that. There's very similar teachings in there. So now people think that Jesus might have studied with the Essenes. And so what did the Essenes do? Yeah, they were mystical. They meditated. So I want to say, yes, did Jesus meditate? I think that there's pretty much scientific evidence that Jesus hung out with the Essenes at some point, and they were a mystical sect of Jews who meditated. So I would say yes.
Yeah. I think he made it a priority to spend secret time with God in the secret place, which is any place of darkness, to be honest with you. It's the place of the mind. And he literally would go into caves and do it where it's pitch black. There's no light coming in, and he would do that. And those little similarities of those in India who would go into the Himalayan mountains, not just into, but on top of as well. And Jesus did the same thing. And for hours, we interpret life and even the scriptures in our Western civilization and our way of life and how we pray. And Jesus prayed for that. And we think it's just like he tells you to go into your secret place and pray, and we do it, and it's like 5 minutes. Whatever it was doing, his disciples who he brought with him at times, they were falling asleep.
Yeah.
There's certain portals, there's certain things that open up to you in meditation right before that moment, right before you're about to fall asleep. And sometimes people complain about trying to meditate, but they just keep falling asleep. But it's to be in that place of meditation and still be cognitive, to still be awake
Exactly.
and asleep at the same time. It is in between. Is this small sliver, and so there's so much
About the
that
brain waves.
the scriptures talk about. Yeah, there's exactly the watches of the Lord, right? The four watches of the night. You know this. This is in Judaism. There's the phases of that the moon goes through. This is not just in Judaism. This is in Egypt. This is in India, and they'll tell you at different phases of the moon, there's certain energies, there's certain information that is
Right.
that comes forth throughout the night and throughout the month. That journey, it's in every religion, and but they would wake up and they would pray during this certain phase because they wanted to be privy to what it was for that particular moment, what information and energy was available there. And you find them praying at all hours of the night. They're waking up to not miss this blessing, not miss this moment to watch over their city, to release protection, to release ask for healing as the sun rises. That the sun would rise with healing in its wings, as the book of Psalms says. And they believed it, and they would wake up before the sunrise and greet the sun. So many mystical orders of Christianity, which the Bible is full of. Like, these people were the most mystical people you would ever believe. If you read it in English, yeah, you're getting some really cool mystical stuff. Step into the Greek and Hebrew, step into the other languages, and have your mind blown. The most mystical, magical, sacred books in combination, inclusive love, and that you can imagine. And I've been doing it for about 9 months straight, every day. It's hard to get out, to shut it. And just one word, breaking down those words have been so amazing. And following those words, because those words are a rabbit trail. What does it mean? Like, what does love? What is there? What is love? And, every language besides
it's
English.
just a word.
Yeah, but there's types of love, right? Like every.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's like when we focus on words too much, we run into problems. We have to remember the love is a feeling, and like most feelings, you can't really describe a feeling with words. You can say, oh, well, it's like this, or it's like that. It's like how you feel when you see someone you haven't seen in a long time, and there's different kinds of love. There's romantic love. There's love that you have for your child. There's love that you have for ice cream, and so it's only one word. So I think when we focus too much on words, we can get into trouble. So we have to remember that, getting back to the whole idea of the religions, every religion was written by a different group of people that had a whole different language, and it was at a different time. We can't expect them to use all the same words for everything when they speak a different language. And it really wasn't very long ago that our world was a lot more isolated. It was like a huge thing just to go across the ocean. Now we got the internet, we have traveling, and all the borders are being broken down, and we're realizing that, well, the first step is, all of these things kind of seem separate because they use different words, but it's up to people like you and me to realize, like the blind man and the elephant, we take a step back and say, look, of course they don't use the same words for everything because they had a different language. But if you look at what they're saying, they're all really saying the same thing. And that is that this physical world is, it's what we see with our five senses. But there's something deeper than that. And it goes all the way to inside of each of us. There's something deeper inside of us, that we're more than our bodies. And we can take the spiritual path and seek truth and learn more about the deeper aspect of things if we want to.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
You're a musician, and you have a song called I Am. I listened to it last night. It's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm also a musician. I have a song called Who Am I? It's the first song I ever wrote. And it's exactly about that. It's about the journey of, like, what is this? who, what. Again, we get into words. We can't call it a it. We can't call it a who. We don't. It's beyond words.
Yeah,
just like
for sure.
God is beyond words. We try to describe God with words like this elephant, but it's so beyond words that, you know, when we try to use words, we're just wasting time. But yeah, who am I? I'm on that same quest to find out who I am.
Who I am, who have I been, and who am I becoming?
Right. Like, I was just, you mentioned like watch some YouTube video about meditation. You know, I do that sometimes. I was watching this one, and I find it to be a really useful exercise to think about, like, even when I'm using my five senses, you know, if I'm looking at a tree or something like that, who is that is like seeing the tree, you know? You know, it's almost like there's something inside me that's looking out and like feeling all these things. And it's like, but it's a useful thing to think about. Okay, well, who or what is that? That's like taking all this information in, you know? And it's a lifelong journey to figure out exactly what or who that is. But it's exciting to know that there's something there and we can learn about it.
Yeah, it's consciousness. It is evolution, because
consciousness.
It is what you say it is. Everything is. Everything is what you say it is. Whatever you give it. I mean, you're asking yourself that, but it's what we call God is asking you that. It's Jesus asking Peter, "Hey, who am I? Who am I to you? Who am I to you?" Well, first he said, "Who do people say that I am?" Well, some people think that you're Elijah reincarnated. Other people say you're that prophet that was expected to come, and some people think you're a madman or a magician or whatever. And it's okay, that's cool, but who do you say that I am? Oh, me? No, who do you think I am? He's like, I know who you are. He didn't say I think. I know who you are. Well, who do you know? Well, you're the Messiah. You've come to reveal. You've shown me. The reason I know who you are is because you showed me who I am, and that is the message. That really is. It's a mirror. All of these books, they're about other people that live thousands of. No, about you, about your ego, about your Satan, about you being a Pharisee to other people, about you attacking others, about you killing aspects of your life and your dream. And man, if you got to bring all of that into the now moment, and when you do, and meditation helps you do that. Eckhart Tolle is a freaking millionaire, what billionaire, I don't know, off of teaching people how to get into the now moment, because that's the moment you can call something what it is. Your bills that you can't pay, what's going on the news has got you all whacked out. Listen, there's a moment you bring it to meditation and you get to speak and call it what it is. Speak to the things that are not as though they are, and they become that. God did the same thing with Adam. Adam, look at that big beast over there. What is that? What is it? There was no such thing as a cow yet. There was a beast. And Adam says, that's a cow. Okay, right. It's okay. What about this big thing with the tall neck? What are you going to call that, Adam? He could have called it anything. Give it a name. Giraffe. Great. It became a giraffe. Like, that's the power that we have in our breath. Breath work, meditation, being conscious, articulating, using words. Words are magic. They've been used against us for so long. But when you take your power back and you step into that power of that now moment that Eckhart Tolle is teaching you in every stage, every mystic, Jesus has been teaching you. Moses has been teaching you. They all have the same things from different perspectives. Man, I love it. I love it. It used to scare me, but now it adds fuel to the fire. Oh, this ain't just some weird Hebrew crazy person in Galilee or whatever. This is Atum Ra. Yeah. This is the Sumerians. Yeah. This is Apollos. This is an initiation they all went through, and they all represent, and they all became that to other people. Whew. I love it. It used to scare the hell out of me. And it did scare the hell out of me eventually, till I gave up on this idea that God was going to send me to hell if I even read those books or can say that these people are mystics or reincarnated versions of other people, or if they are reincarnations of other people, who are you? This your first time here? Maybe. Maybe not. Who am I? You must not ask that question. When you ask that question, come on, man, it's going to lead you to the answers. It says you have not because you ask not. That's if that's any truth to it, it's not just for Christians. It's not just for Bible readers. It's universal. If you ask,
for everybody,
I'll give it to you. Don't ask, seek, knock. The door will be open. I will come in and sup with you. These principles are so beautiful, man. They mean the world to me. You can meditate on anything we just said. One thing. Or whatever God's saying to you. And you just hold it close to your heart with gratitude. And just say thank you. That's all it is. That's definitely how I start. Find something to be thankful for. Whatever it is. The breath. I don't have nothing. My life is going. No. Take a breath. Infinite possibility, infinite opportunities to get it right, to make an impact, to whatever you're put here to do. My goodness, like I move out of being ungrateful or being busy or whatever that's pulling me out of the moment. And so, man, look, thank you, Lord. I got the breath, my heart's beating. Wow. What else? And I just start going back. Like that's meditation. It's what you're pondering is another word. It's what you're thinking about, meditating on. So it is deep and mystical, yeah, but it's also simple and practical as well.
Very simple.
Man, listen, I got so much that I could questions and we can go down, but I don't want to change it too much. You know what I'm saying? We did mention solar stuff. We did mention energy, free energy. Man, what you're doing with that, but let people know where they can go follow up. Like I was watching your video of you going around and going to the colleges and working with those people and stuff and blowing their minds and that was awesome too. But if people want to obviously get the book or learn about all of your work, where's the best places for them to go?
Well, I have a few different areas that I venture out into, and I'm not sure that they're all really found in one particular place.
Okay, well listen, just say one.
All right.
We'll do another interview and talk. Right. Just do straight sun.
All right. Yeah. So, well, we've been talking mainly about the book. So I would encourage people to go to theharmonyinstitute.org, and that's where you can read about the book and get a copy of the book. And solarbus.org. That's my solar energy educational project. And you know what? Actually, I do have one central place. It's garybeckwith.net. And there you can learn about, I have a bunch of other things too. I have a nonprofit organization that brings solar energy down to third world countries like Haiti and stuff like that, where people don't have electricity. I just try to spend the limited time I have on this planet making the world a better place, just like you do. And so if you go to garybeckwith.net, you can learn a little bit about the different things that I do. My music is on there as well. So anyway, this has been really enjoyable. I appreciate you having me on. I hope I didn't scare too many of your listeners.
No.
Somebody said that they were worried about meditating, but
you got to. This is why this podcast is here, is just to simply demystify it. You know, it's just to take away the fear, and especially if something can benefit you. My goodness.
Absolutely. I mean, there's all kinds of books written about the benefits of meditation, and it's not going to touch on your faith, whatever it is, you know, even if it's more conventional Christianity or Judaism or anything, it's not going to mess with that in any way. It's just like doing push-ups, but it's for your brain. So I'd encourage it to everyone.
So good. So good. Gary, I enjoyed this, brother. Thanks for hanging out. And like I said, we'll definitely have to do a follow-up. Cool. If people want it, you know, let us know. Because this, I think it, with religions and with free energy and for so many things, I think that nature plays a huge part. And if your religion isn't bringing you closer, if your beliefs isn't bringing you closer to nature, every aspect of it, then you're missing something for sure. You are missing out, and we'll talk about that on another episode. But I want to pick your brain because you're pulling free energy from the sun, and they say you're crazy. You're a crazy person. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing free energy? And we're the ones paying companies to keep our lights on, or we're buying bottled water that could be manifested out of the air, or can be captured in the rain, but we're giving people this stuff will get you killed, man.
Well, like
and that's
you
why
said,
I wanted to ask you too. I mean, we'll do it on another episode, but
let's do it. But let me just bring that full circle. Like you said, these ideas that we're talking about today, 20, 25 years ago, they were people thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Now, today, there's a spiritual awakening going on. The same thing, I would say the exact same thing could be described about my work in solar energy, because I started doing that in the late 1980s. And back then, people thought I was crazy then too. Like, oh, it's too expensive. The technology isn't that good, blah, 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 blah. Nobody was doing it. And now, solar energy is everywhere. It's like, it actually saves money. And like, I don't know about where you live, but tons of people have solar panels on their roof. You can spin your meter backwards and sell power to the power company. And, it's a huge growing industry. So just because a particular idea isn't like, popular or widespread accepted at one particular time doesn't mean things aren't going to change over time and get better. Yeah. I do think we are in an awakening, and lots of aspects of our society and humanity are improving. I would say that also there's some things that are, there's some energy out there that just needs to get burned off, because there's been, a lot of strife in this planet. And in order for us to get to the next level, I think part of that is like shedding our old ways. So anyway, here's the solar energy, here's the meditation, here's the peace. That's what you see on the cover of the book. It leads to peace, and love. Yeah. Love's right in the middle. If you accept your brothers and your sisters who maybe weren't raised in the same religion, but you see that we're all one family of humanity, and there are some ideas that their religion and our religion share, and we don't need to keep fighting and killing each other. The world's going to become a more peaceful place. Oh yeah, so good, brother. Man, so good. We can just keep going and going and going, but we'll do another one. Let's do another one sometime for sure. Enjoyed it, Gary. Thank you so much, bro. All right. Thank you. All right. Shalom, bro. Peace. Peace, peace. All right, guys. Make sure that you go and check out Gary Beckwith's work. I will share his links in the show notes. In the show notes, man. If anybody has any questions, I'll stay on for a few more minutes, give some thoughts on, like, we're talking about energy, man. We're talking about free energy. We're talking about solar energy, which is free. And I've been studying this a little bit recently. It's been brought to my attention in my studies and then just in my life. The sun, and when I started looking up within the last 2 weeks or so, studying crystals, right? We're studying crystals and what they can do. And then there's piezoelectric crystals. Not every crystal is created equally. And I guarantee you the ones that are mentioned of in the Bible that were on the breastplate of the priest, and they had 12 crystals, and they're all different colors, and they're crystals that you can get today. And they have a reason, and they represent that tribe. Whatever that tribe was doing, in some shape or form, I guarantee you that crystal represents that. But they hold energy, they conduct energy, and they have something called they are piezoelectric, where they can send energy. Piezoelectric crystals. This is common knowledge. This is, if it's a cult to you or scary, it's because nobody's told you. But there's documentaries from the 50s and before, from the military. I took apart I didn't know this, but I just found this out. But obviously we know that your radio, the old-timey radios anyway, had a little quartz crystal that would move up and down the dial, and it would be able to pull in the frequency that is in the air of that radio station. That all those radio stations are in the air. But it wasn't until you shifted that crystal to be able to channel that energy from that radio station and then
it gets amplified through your radio, and then you can hear it. It's a vibrational frequency. Yeah. Just like you can take a needle on a record and take a piece of paper and put it around the needle, any kind of needle, put it around, take the paper, make a cone out of it, just spin it and put it around there and go around the grooves of a record, and you can hear the song playing. You can channel the vibrational frequency that is on that record. 12-inch vinyl. Yeah. It's a vibrational frequency that now you have a tool that you can hear it, you can channel it. Pine cones. Go look at the ancient gods, the earliest ones, the primitive ones. Or say primitive, when mankind was primitive anyway. You'll see the Anunnaki, you'll see the Babylonians, and they're all holding a pine cone. Much like a crystal, pine cones hold energy as well. So first of all, it's just a theory. Why did they have it? Well, they're holding a pine cone in one hand, and then they have some kind of a bag. Most likely was a battery that they were able to channel energy from the sun and store it in the battery. Solar panel. We don't know. Maybe. But I will tell you this. Your body is a battery. It has electrical wiring. It has every element that is needed to conduct energy. Anything that you do, movement, breathing, conducts energy, and then you give that energy away. Something has to feed off of that energy to exist. Any god lives off of energy. Go read the offerings. Go read the tithe. Go listen, you got to give something. Something has to be generated. The wicked ones will take a life and rob that energy and say, here's energy. Come on now. If you know anything about most of us, that's all we know is the wicked. We don't know the good side of it. That dancing, that laughter, that spinning, that crystals, that the sun itself gives you energy. The energy that you get from your food is sunlight that's trapped inside of it, and you eat that sunlight and you get nutrients, and you literally get sun inside of you. Being in the sun, you get solar energy. What led me to this? Chris Garner says the pine cone is often a symbol of the pineal gland as well. I was reading this. I don't want to go into too many details, but you can feel the magnetism. If you take 2 pine cones and the positive and negative side, a cone where the energy is channeled to the smallest point, like a needle hooked to a cone, and channel the energy. Pine cones were sacred. Not only why though, because the cone shape, but also it is a spiral that spirals up. If you look around the pine cones, they are a spiral. They are a symbol of harnessing free. It's an antenna. It is a symbol of harnessing free energy, much like a horn. You can feel it. I can feel it. I'm just playing with them. I just picked it up and I was like, what is this? I know the Sumerians there, and all these gods they're showing you something. It wasn't just them. Catholic Church. Yeah. Y'all don't believe in magic. You gave your magic away. Okay. Go ask the Pope if he believes in magic. Look at his magic wand, his rod, and just look at the symbolism on it. What's he got on it? There's a pine cone on his magical wand, his rod. But also they have an actual court, the court of the pine cone, with a huge freaking statue, a monument of a pine cone. Do you know what happens when you put a monument or a battery or something on a ley line? in the earth, it channels that energy and that information. That's what a steeple is. Your hair is an antenna. Your skin is an antenna. Everything is about energy. You have to generate energy to give energy away. Yeah. The more people that come together, one can set 1,000 aflight, two can set 10,000 aflight. The remembrance of a God, the remembrance of a loved one generates energy. You believing in something allows you to experience it and create it. That's why we're talking about hypnotherapy and hypnosis and getting over trauma. Like, what happens when you get over it? Now that stagnant energy that's in you, low vibrational frequency, bad beliefs that tell you you're stupid and you'll never be nothing, and your father was broke and your father was a drug addict, so you're going to be a drug addict. Your uncles told you you're just like your father, and so you're stuck. These are circles. Everything, life, energy is circles. But what is it doing? Is the circle stuck, or is it moving from one plane of existence to the next? That's Jacob's ladder. That goes up. There you see angels, energy, frequency, vibrational, moving from one plane of existence to the next. Not just going up, but they also can come down. The angels that move back and forth. The energy that you're getting not only from the sun, not only from the moon, but also from the earth. You are a battery. The food that you put in, the thoughts that you think, everything is magic. And the fact that you don't believe that proves that the people who do believe in magic, that their magic's working. Everything is magic. Speaking, scribing, writing, belief. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful what you say. Be careful, little eyes, what you see, what you watch. You're eating. You are a temple. You are an ecosystem. And in us coming together as a bunch, we're a city on a hill. You are the kingdom of God is within you and around you and above you and beneath you. It is all around. And once you know that, once you're awakened to that, then you can start experimenting. Then you can start seeing it in the Bible. Every holy book, every text. The spiral, the energy, the movement, the frequency. Then you can start experimenting, and you can feel your energy. Your right hand is positive. The left hand is negative. The right hand blesses and gives. The left hand takes. You can hold out your right hand and move it in a circular motion or figure 8, and you can begin to feel that energy on your hand. You may have to get really close. I remember when I first started, I had to get really close and I can only feel it. But the more that I'm in the sun, the more that I do breath work, the more that I fill my life with positive energy and stop allowing forces outside of me to deplete my energy, then it gets stronger. Now I can literally hold my hand back here. I can stretch my arm back and I can feel the energy. I feel the connection. I move my fingers and I feel it. I mean, that's almost 2 foot. Like how far can we go? Is this real or is this all in your head? Both. This is energy. This is what they've been keeping from you. But they sell you water. You know what a humidifier is? It pulls the humidity out of the room because some people, it messes with them, right? Breathing problems and all this kind of stuff. If you turn a humidifier on, I didn't know, but on the back of the humidifier, there's a compartment where the free ions, the positive and negative energy that's in the atmosphere, the moisture in the atmosphere, gets pulled in and it gets transferred and becomes water. I was like, I didn't know, what are we doing with that water? We just throwing it out? Yeah. You know, there's people who have made giant, we got a little one. There's a dude who made giant ones, like huge ones, and he's generating free water out of the atmosphere for people who have dirty drinking water in Detroit. This is some dude on his own budget. We've been had this technology. How you think Moses was able to hit a rock and be able to get water to come out of a rock? Because it was a miracle. God showed him, he taught him spiritual science. When you can repeat it, it ain't no miracle. That's why he did it out of anger and it still happened, right? He used it out of anger. Come on now. Yeah, we want you to think it's a one-time thing. Yeah. When it says I was in the spirit, I meditated, I was in a trance on the Lord's day. Oh, that was just a random event. No, I was in the spirit. Focusing on my breathing, I was finding things in my life to become thankful for, and then immediately there I was in gratitude. And now I got access to any energy frequency that resides on the vibrational realm of gratitude. Yeah, why you think the dark beings and the occult and all that deal with dark stuff? Because they don't have access to the higher beings of love and light. Yeah, they don't dwell on that level. No, they're low-hanging fruit, easy stuff. Let's trick them. Let's use their spirituality against them. Let's tell them it's wicked. Let's tell them it's bad. And I'm going to have to shut up. I'm going to have to shut up. Because y'all don't believe me. Try it. Try it. Like he said, a scientist is going to show you something you can repeat. Something that you can repeat. You are infinite energy and possibility. The same breath, whatever it was, that created the cosmos, that created Earth, that created Adam, that was blown into his nostrils, you have a trace of it. Maybe that breath is mingled. Maybe it's mingled. There's types of breath. There's types of breathing. There's animal breath. There's a lot of different types, but the living soul, it's in you. The things that you say, the things that you believe, the things that you align yourself with, you can see. You can manifest. You've been manifesting. I could never. No, you're already great at it. You're great at manifesting, yeah. You've just been told things and you're a channel for somebody else's dream. You're a channel for somebody else's energy. Become a channel. Become a light. Become a frequency. Chris Garner, my brother, love to see you, man. Love to see you. I would tell you this, Chris, you know who understood a lot of this stuff, bro, that I'm now getting into? It's the Mormons, bro. Your people. He's a Mormon. Or he's, goes to Mormon church, and family come up Mormon. But I'm looking into a little bit of that as I'm doing my work. So he says Deuteronomy 18:11. Do you want me to give commentary? Do you want me to read it? Let's see. I'd like to know. Let's see. Where does the Bible say that? Okay, I'm going to read the chat real quick. I'm a Christian. I spoke out in the wind, and the wind responded. It was beautiful. Come on now. Yeah. Speak to the sun. Speak to the wind. You're crazy for speaking to the wind, but you know who wasn't? That we revere and we honor for his spiritual energy? Elijah. You're crazy for looking into the fire. Don't gaze into the fire. No. Fire is energy. It's an element. It's energy. You know who did? Manoah. Many people in the scriptures. Angels came out of the fire and spoke with them. That's why they don't want you looking in the fire. That's why they don't want you speaking to the wind. I don't know.